Hey everybody, welcome back to One Mic, and today I'm here to talk about Season 3, Episode 1 of Apple TV's Foundation, entitled A Song for the End of Everything. So man, I was excited for this show to come back, but I have had an interesting relationship with it to date. It's one of, if not the most hardcore sci-fi shows on TV, and longtime viewers of this show, of this channel, I should say, I don't have a show, know that I love shows that take risks. And this is a show that deals with like really complex ideas. It takes massive time jumps, and it's based on a series of books that were prior to now deemed unadaptable. Yet despite these challenges, I'd absolutely consider this show to be a success. Like, each of the first 2 seasons made my top 10, both at the 4 slot, though I do consider season 2 to be a step up from season 1. Both seasons kind of got off to a rocky start to me, but around the 3rd or 4th episodes, they both kind of like really took off, getting better each week, and each season ended very strong. Coming into season 3, I expected the same. You know, I might find some things a little bit off-putting, as I remember I did to a significant degree at the start of season 2, but in a few episodes, you know, it would settle into the story it wants to tell, and then it'd be off and running, and the same pattern would emerge. You know, each episode would be better than the last, and ultimately I'd end up with another good season. I'm excited to report that this season decided to dispense with the ramp-up, and this episode dove right into the story. It set up what feels like every plot line that it's going to explore this season, while still delivering a premiere that was like a really solid episode of television in and of itself, and didn't feel like it was like solely in service of the rest of the season. And that's where I think I want to start, is how this show was able to do that. Like, part of the sacrifice in setting up a dense show is that you can get off to a rocky start when you're like world building. The benefit, though, is when you hit this point that the show is at right now, this point in your stride where we, the fans, now understand this world. So you can just like dive right into the story that you want to tell. You don't have to waste time explaining to us who Empire is. We all know, we hit play that this was going to be a different set of 3, individuals than it was last season and in season 1. You don't have to set up the stakes either, because you did such a great job in the season 2 finale of setting those up. Like, we already knew coming in that the Mule was going to be a focus for season 3. We already knew we were going to time jump, because that's just the nature of this show. That's how it's been. So when I hit play on this premiere, I get this 2-minute narration from Gail that's like, okay, so here's where we stand now. And then we can just like dive right into the season. I thought that was really great. You know, I'm watching this like, I love this because they can immediately dive into this season's story at this little 2-minute update from Gail, because the previous seasons have, pardon the pun, done such a great job of laying the foundation. Side note, and this will be brief, I watched the 20-minute recap of season 2. Shout out to the Pete Peppers recap. That's the one I watched. And I got to the end and I was like, this shit's about to jump 150 years into the future. How much of what I just watched is going to be relevant to season 3? And yeah, of course, like the broad strokes will probably still be a reference and they'll still be relevant. But did I need to watch a whole 20-minute recap to prepare for season 3? I don't think that I did, but that's another cool thing about this show. Like, these massive time jumps give them the opportunity to essentially do a reset each season. Like, yeah, you still move us down the like generational timeline, moving alongside Harry's predictions. But from season to season, you have the ability to tell a new story that is only loosely tied to the previous season story. You can add new characters, you can bring new actors, and the viewers don't feel like they have to remember every little thing. We just need to remember like the major moments and the ideas. And this premiere felt like a show that was taking full advantage of the fact that we, the viewers, now fully understand this world. Like, we don't need any setup, and you can just dive right into the story. So let me do that. Let's dive right into this episode, because I asked ChatGPT how I can get more people to watch my fucking videos, and it suggested that maybe I make them a little bit shorter. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to dive in, and we're going to talk about this episode. Hey everybody, I just want to take a small break from this review to talk about the various other ways you can engage with me on other platforms. If you're so inclined, and I understand why you wouldn't, I am an acquired taste, but you can join the Patreon where you can get extra content like retro reviews, where I review old shows and movies to see if they still hold up today, Mike's Musings, where I talk about shows I'm watching that I don't cover on the channel, or Mike's VOD, where you can commission me to watch a show, which I will then review on the channel. And if you want to engage with me and chat with me more directly, I also implore you to join the Discord and follow the Facebook page. I set up channels in the Discord for all of us to discuss the shows I'm reviewing on the channel, and I also drop new videos in there, so this is the easiest platform for me to share to from my phone. The Facebook can be really fun because I sort of live comment on shows I'm watching, often while under the influence, I'm not gonna lie. And I'll also share news there, both about television and film, and about myself as well. So if you like my content, you want to be more engaged, you think I'm charming, or you simply want to show support, feel free to sign up for the Patreon or join the Discord or Facebook today. Links to all platforms are in every video description. Remember to share all my shit to your respective social media platforms. And now back to this review. So like I said, the episode opens with Gale narrating where we stand now. It's been 152 years, and now Foundation now controls the entire Outer Reach and is pushing toward what they call the Middle Band. She also says the Empire's grasp on power is weakening, and there's also a pivotal planet that is neither aligned with Foundation or with Empire called Calgon, and its importance is understood by all parties being Foundation, Empire, and the Mule. They all understand that Calgon is vital to securing the Middle Band and the rest of the galaxy eventually. And that's where we opened up the episode, with the Mule doing just that. This opening scene after, Gale's little monologue here it's a miniature Game of Thrones reunion to start. A couple of Game of Thrones alums having a conversation here, but we see the Mule visiting Calgon's Archduke. Apparently the Mule has the Archduke's daughter captive, and he says he'll give her back in basically exchange for Calgon. Like, you give up this planet, you can have your daughter back. The Archduke refuses, and he's looking at him like, you got big fucking balls for, coming up on this giant army by yourself. And the Mule is essentially like, I don't need an army, and he uses his mind control abilities to make the Archduke's army kill each other, make the Archduke bite off his own finger to surrender his ring, and then makes the Archduke kill himself. And for a scene that is opening a season, I just thought it was okay. Like, it was solid. Good, not great. Why? Because in the world of sci-fi and in general in television and film, I've seen a lot of scenes where people have used mind control to make people do something that they wouldn't otherwise do. And so because of that, I wasn't blown away like, oh shit, this is sick. Like, I saw this in fucking Star Wars when I was fucking 6 years old. So I was more just sitting there like, well, this is a different version of something I've seen a whole bunch of times. But I did appreciate the level of violence, the exploding heads during some of that gunfire. Still a big fan of over-the-top, excessive violence. I like my violence creative, extreme, or both. So I thought it hit the extreme button for me on that one. That's why I like Gangs of London so much. It hits both creative and extreme, but I digress. Moving on to Empire, Gale's narration paints them as having a loosening grip on the galaxy. Fortunately for them, there's a rebel faction within the Foundation that's looking to secede, and they're called the Traitors. And that's Traitors with a D, like Trader Joe's. You probably have to have the captions on to know that, because I'm pretty sure that the homophone with the word Traitors with a T, probably intentional. But we see Dawn in front of the Galactic Council, urging them to help fund the Traitors with a D with supplies. And I really like this scene because it showed a version of Dawn that we haven't seen before. One that's on the cusp of becoming kind of essentially the Day character that we've traditionally seen. Like, this Dawn is politically savvy. He's preparing to become emperor in 10 days. He stages a political stunt prior to talking to them that does a great job of selling them on his case. He sells them with both logic and with threats on why the rebel faction within the Foundation should be aided. So I like just a good opening scene for that character to show that this character is going to be something different than what we've seen so far. But that's another cool thing about the world built within this show. You get to have the same actors playing the same characters, but you get to make the characters entirely different or have them at, in this case, like different points in their evolution. Like, this is a Dawn that seems less like a child and more ready to lead. And then we have Day, who we don't see until the end of the episode, who seems like he'd rather be at like fucking Woodstock than on Trantor. And then we have Dusk, and he's like, this is a Dusk nearing the end of his time, nearing his ascension, and he seems to be kind of like struggling with the lack of free will that they collectively have had throughout their time, and his own impending end. Kind of, it's interesting to watch someone who's not really gonna die deal with death, but And it's cool again to have Dawn, Day, and Dusk played by the same actors, but essentially be meeting each of these characters for the first time again. I just think that's pretty cool. So next we move on to New Terminus, where Gale narrates more details on the situation with the traitors. We also meet Professor Ebling Miss, Mies. I don't know, it's M-I-S in the captions, and they kind of like almost ran it together. It's like, Professor Ebling Miss. Like, okay. But he's played by the 4th Game of Thrones alumni that we've seen in this episode. Syrio Forel was on the Galactic Council, the person that Dawn threatened. But Professor Ebling Miss he's been studying the growing rift between Foundation and the traitors, and he sees it as the start of this 3rd crisis, which is a moment that Demerzel and Dawn saw coming at the beginning of the episode. So this professor, he meets with Harry, and he's almost like smug in his knowledge of how everything happening right now is going to impact the future. And he tells Harry that the Foundation has kind of become complacent and that it's unlikely that they'll be able to handle both this rebel faction, these traitors, and the upcoming crisis. We then travel to a planet called Haven, where this is the traitors' like home planet. And we see a couple of them, and they're being tracked by a couple of like Foundation like loyalists. One of the leaders of the traitors, he has one arm and he has the last name Mallow, so we can then presume that he is a descendant of Hober Mallow from season 2. And then the 2 Foundation loyalists who are tracking him, they want proof that Empire is funding them. And there's an interesting, if not exciting, chase scene that involves sunlight as one of the pursuers, because it can be 200-something degrees in the sun on Haven, making the name of the planet pretty ironic. But the male of these 2 loyalists, there was a man and a woman. The male's named Pritchard. We don't really see the woman too much. She's probably going to return, but I didn't get her name. But Pritchard returns later in the episode, so I pick up his name. And he gets into it with the mayor over the Mule and steals the mayor's ship in order to essentially learn more about the Mule and see, hey, this guy seems like a real threat. Let me look into him. So now at this point in the episode, the Mule is on every important party's radar. And the episode ends, and I'm using the word ends loosely here, but it ends with this long sequence of scenes with Demerzel essentially laying out the stakes for what I'm assuming is going to be the end of the season. She tells all 3 brothers that this 3rd impending crisis shows the fall of their dynasty in 4 months. Further, it doesn't show anything beyond that point. So it might not just be the end of their dynasty. It could be the end of civilization. It could be the end of their species, whatever, right? This ties back to an overly long conversation that took place early in the episode between Demerzel and another young woman who she might have been named, but I'm not sure what it was. But it seems like she might be like Demerzel's apprentice or something. But Demerzel tells this woman basically her entire life story. And it seems like this woman, she's setting this woman up to maybe replace her or something. Like, you now have the knowledge that I have kind of deal. But in this conversation, she said that she didn't know what she'd do without Empire. And that's why she said that, because she told this woman all this information because she feels that there's a possibility that they're not going to be around anymore in 4 months. So that's our stakes for this season. That's what this episode set up. The Mules try to take over the galaxy still, and he scored a big win taking over Calgan. He now needs to find the 2nd Foundation. Foundation is dealing with an uprising within itself by this group called the Traitors. They're threatening to ruin everything. They're being funded by the Empire, so they've got some backing. And lastly, Demerzel foresees the end of everything possibly happening in 4 months. Dawn is about to become Emperor. Day is a fucking hippie or something, and Dusk is grappling with whatever his version of mortality is. But yet, despite this episode really still being largely set up, it was a really entertaining watch in and of itself, and it successfully set up what looks to be another great season. And this season is off to a good start when the first 2 got off to a kind of rocky start, so pretty encouraging. On that note, I'm going to end things here, but if you're new to this channel, please subscribe, hit like, all that good stuff. Share it to your social media. If you don't know if you like me yet, I have nearly 1,000 videos on here. You can see my progression from shitty at this to slightly less shitty. That's where I'm at right now. And yeah, I know there's plenty of stuff to see. I have full coverage of seasons 1 and 2 of Foundation on here. There's a Foundation playlist on the channel if you want to go back and watch those. In the meantime, I'll see you guys next week for episode 2 and every subsequent week for the rest of the season. Let me know what you thought about this episode in the comments. Let me know how much you thought. Let me know what you thought about this video in the comments as well. And until next week, peace.